Hi, my name's Michelle and I'm one of the high intensity CBT therapists working with Dudley Talking Therapies. Before that I was a mental health counsellor, so I've been working as a therapist for a few years now within the NHS. Outside of my work life, I really enjoy spending time with my family. I've got children and a husband, and we go to national trusts on a weekend, give the kids a run, and I love reading. That's one of my biggest passions, and we all really love movies, so we go to the cinema quite a lot. My experience of mental health started shortly after the birth of my first child, which was about 23 years ago, and I had what was then called a nervous breakdown. We don't call it that anymore, it's a bit old-fashioned. Nowadays it would probably be more likely to be defined as panic disorder, and I had agoraphobia, so I stopped going out, and it came very suddenly and out of the blue. I'd not had mental health issues before that point. It happened really quickly. It was very scary and really distressing. The impact it had on my life at the time was that I wasn't able to look after my son in the way that I would have wanted to as a new mum. I was constantly consumed by panic and anxiety, and like I said, I didn't go out, so I spent a lot of time alone, very isolated. My partner, my now husband, was a really good support, and my family were really helpful. My nan would come up and help me with my little one. What I found most helpful at that time was when I went to see my doctor, because I knew that I needed to do something. It was all crumbling and I wasn't well at all, and I was offered some CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, and back in the day it's kind of different to how it is now. It was a different form of CBT. Initially I was given that at home because I couldn't go out, and it was that opportunity to talk and understand that I wasn't losing my mind, I wasn't crazy, that I was a good mum. It started to give me some confidence back in my abilities as a young mum, and it took a long time. It took about 4 years, I think, before I was well enough to go back to work and start kind of moving forwards with my life. And it was that experience that led me into the work that I do now. So I was determined to offer people experiencing similar problems the same support that I had at that time. If it hadn't been for the therapist, if it hadn't been for the mental health nurses and my GP, I don't know what would have happened. Maybe I'd still be sitting in my flat. So I trained and I studied and built my confidence up. Nowadays I still have anxiety. That would be the thing that I have. I'm a worrier. I can be anxious about things, but I manage it really well, and I manage it by remembering to talk. That's really important to me. I'm not ashamed of how I feel when I get anxious, because I'm a human being, and it's okay to find things difficult and to be worried about things, but it's hard if you're trying to do that all on your own without support. So my advice would be to reach out, ask for some help, contact your local talking therapy service, your GP, your friends. You can self-refer, you can go to the Samaritans, whatever you need to do. So I guess for people who might be watching, I would say you can be anybody and have a mental health condition. It doesn't discriminate, it doesn't choose to affect you because of who you are. You know, you can be a mental health professional and struggle. You can be very successful and really be plagued by this. So don't worry about reaching out for help is what I would say. It's easy to feel judged and embarrassed, but I certainly don't. And I really like my job. I love my work. I'm really privileged to get to talk to people who are sometimes at their very lowest, and I get to support them through that time, which is an absolute honour. So yeah, just to reiterate, I guess would be get help, talk about stuff. If it's something that bothers you, then it's important, and you're valid and you do matter. So yeah, I'm Michelle and this is me.